Come here, sweetheart. You'll catch cold standing in that rain. Dorothea Wren said it the way she said most things, quietly, without ceremony, already moving her umbrella over the small girl standing at the Clover Street bus stop in the full force of a Tuesday afternoon downpour. The child was 4 years old, wearing a purple coat and an expression of complete indignation at the weather, and she was soaked from the shoulders up because she was too short for the shelter's overhang to reach her. She looked at the old woman. She looked at the umbrella. She stepped under it with the decisive confidence of a 4-year-old accepting what is clearly correct. "Thank you," she said. "I don't like rain." "Nobody does, dear," Dorothea said. "Not really." They stood together while the rain came down in the particular October way, steady, as if it had somewhere to be. Dorothea was 68 years old and had been taking this bus twice a week for 11 years, since her husband passed and she'd moved in with her daughter Margot on the north side of Cedarwood. She carried a good umbrella, dark green, 15 years old, because she had learned that such small things mattered more than they seemed. The girl's name was Lily Ashford. Her babysitter Priya was nearby, searching her bag, having realized 90 seconds ago that her own umbrella was back in the apartment. Lily had assessed the situation and resolved it herself by accepting the old woman's offer, entirely characteristic. "Are you waiting for someone?" Dorothea asked. "My daddy," Lily said. "He's late. He's always a little late, but then he comes." She said this with the unshakable faith of a child who has never once been left waiting long enough to doubt it. Dorothea smiled, the specific, warm smile of a woman who has raised children and recognizes something true in that sentence. "He sounds reliable." "He brings me a cookie," Lily said, "every Tuesday." The bus came. Dorothea took it. Lily's father arrived 8 minutes later in a car too nice for a Tuesday cookie run, and Priya told him about the old woman and the umbrella. He looked at his daughter's dry hair and her pleased expression and felt the gratitude of a parent saved from something by a stranger's uncomplicated kindness. His name was Callum Ashford. He was 33 years old and the owner of Ashford Consulting Group, a firm grown in 7 years from 2 people to 41 employees in 3 cities. He was not the kind of person who forgot things. He asked Priya for a description and thought about it on the drive home while Lily ate her cookie and described the sound rain makes on an umbrella from underneath, which was apparently very interesting. What Callum did not know was that Dorothea Wren had worked at Ashford Consulting Group for 4 years, from when it was 12 people in a rented Garfield Street office until she had quietly retired at 64, citing her husband's health. She had been the administrative coordinator who kept schedules, managed vendors, and remembered everyone's birthday without being asked. She had been, by everyone's assessment, the quiet foundation on which much of the early firm rested. She had left without fanfare and had not been in contact since, consistent with how she understood things. You gave what you had while you were there, then moved on.
She did not know who Lily's father was. She had seen a wet child and offered her umbrella. She took the bus home. She thought about the child's certainty regarding the cookie, the warmth of it, and then she made dinner and called Margot and did not think about it again. Callum found her through the firm's HR records. He went through it himself, and Dorothea Wren's name was there with her Cedarwood address. He understood with the quiet completeness of a man who pays attention that the woman who had covered his daughter in the rain was the same woman his team had always credited for making the office actually work. He wrote her a letter. Not an email, a letter, on paper, in his own handwriting, pre-drafts because the first 2 were either too formal or too much. He thanked her for the umbrella. He told her who he was and who Lily was. He told her that a pension contribution she had been entitled to under her employment terms had never been formally claimed, a clerical oversight his HR manager confirmed, and that it would be sent to her with accumulated interest. He sent it with a small box of tulips from Lily, who had insisted on including something, and selected tulips specifically because they were, in her assessment, cheerful. Dorothea read the letter at the kitchen table on a Thursday morning, with Margot standing in the doorway watching her mother's face move through several things. Recognition, surprise, a long, still pause, and then something close to tears, the specific feeling of being seen by something you didn't know was looking. "Mama," Margot said, "what is it?" Dorothea set the letter down. She looked at the tulips, then out the window. "I gave a little girl my umbrella at the bus stop last Tuesday," she said. "Her father says it was the kindest thing anyone had done for his daughter all year." A pause. "He also says I helped build his company, and he never knew."
She looked at Margot with the clear eyes of a woman who has lived long enough to recognize when the world is doing something worth noticing. Isn't that something? Callum visited the following week with Lily, who arrived at Dorothea's door and said, without preamble, "You're the umbrella lady." Dorothea confirmed she was. Lily said, "I told my daddy you were nice." Dorothea said she was glad to hear it. They sat at the kitchen table with tea and Margot's shortbread, and Callum said what he'd come to say, that the work she had done in those early years had held things together in ways he had not understood until recently, and that he should have. Dorothea listened without interrupting, and when he finished, said simply, "You built a good firm. I was glad to be part of it." "You still are," he said quietly, "if you'd like to be." She looked at him across the table, this young man with the serious eyes and the 4-year-old explaining cookie taxonomy to Margot in the kitchen, and felt the particular warmth of something completing itself in a way she could not have planned. "I think," she said, "I might like that very much." Kindness offered at a bus stop in the rain, an umbrella shared with a wet child, no audience, no agenda. That is exactly where this story began, not in an office or a ledger, in the simple, unhurried decision to move an umbrella a few feet because a small person was cold and she had the full means to help. That is where the best things begin in this world. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let's spread more stories of kindness and hope together.